Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 in the Cessna Skyhawk. We have a 52 nautical mile flight from Sierra Echo Golf, Penn Valley, to Whiskey Bravo Whiskey, Wyoming Valley. We'll be departing just after sunset, so we'll have a scenic night flight to enjoy, and I'll talk about some of the challenges of flying at night. It should be an awesome flight, so let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Alright, we'll start by verifying that the parking brake is set, all of our switches are off, our mixture and throttle are to cut off. We'll adjust the trim for takeoff. We'll head down here and rotate the fuel selector to the center position. Head over here, turn on the battery and the alternator, check our fuel quantity left and right. We've got full fuel tanks. Turn on the beacon. Bring in the mixture to full rich, crack the throttle, turn on the fuel pump. Turn off the fuel pump. Bring the mixture back to cutoff. Check that the prop area is clear. Clear prop. Beat on the brakes, keys in the ignition, crank it over. Check our oil pressure as we bring in the mixture to full rich, and we do have oil pressure. That looks good. Adjust the throttle up to 1000 RPM. Now we'll lean the mixture for ground operations. Head over here, turn on bus 1, bus 2 for avionics. Turn the transponder into standby. We're squawking VFR 1200. We'll adjust the panel lights, bring up the lights for the gauges, bring down the lights for the Garmins. That all looks good. While the Garmins are booting up, we can dial in our altitude of 3,500 into the autopilot. Now we'll press OK on both of the Garmins. Let those cycle. Next, we can head over to the sectional, and we've got 1227 and 123975 for the ATIS and the weather. That was in the red letters there, just to the right of the airport. So we'll dial those both in. 1227, toggle that over to COM 1. 123975. Yep, 123975, that's the weather, and we'll get the weather in a second.
NE 400 feet. Penn Valley Airport, Automated Surface Observation. 1653 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility 10. Sky conditions. Temperature 24. Dew point 8. Altimeter 3013. Density altitude 1400 feet.
We're running with historical
Penn
weather
Valley
through
Airport,
ActiveSky, so I've set the time back to a nice day in May. We'll head down to the bottom Garmin and click it over to the nearest page, which we'll use for flight following. You can see Harrisburg approach is 118.25 on the sectional, so we're going to dial that in to standby 118.25 because we'll contact them to pick up flight following. We have a nearby VOR, which is Ceilings Grove on 110.4 that we can use for navigation, so we'll dial that into our nav1 frequency. 110.4. It identifies it as SEG. We'll turn on the audio, and now we can verify the Morse code that's on the sectional versus the audio. We are flying direct Whiskey Bravo Whiskey right along the Susquehanna River, and there are towns all along the river, and they are well illuminated, which is what all of those yellow blocks are. So it'll be great visual waypoints for flying at night. And then Wyoming Valley itself is very well illuminated. All right, we'll turn on our taxi lights. Verify that our nav lights are on because it is after sunset. That all looks good. And next, I think we'll turn up the panel lights just one click to make them a little bit brighter. Check that our area is clear. And I love the reflections in the ground workers' jackets. Pretty cool. Penn Valley traffic, Skyhawk 41333, taxi from the ramp to runway 35, Penn Valley. Check our brakes. They work. And we're going to hang right here. And taxiing at night, I find, is very challenging. Now, it's not terribly dark right now, but when it is terribly dark, usually the airport is not very well lit once you get away from the buildings. So you need to find the taxi line in your taxi light and stick to it. If you follow the taxi line, then you're not going to hit anything. So it's important to remain on center line with the taxi line. Now, we do have some taxi lights at this airport, which helps us see where the taxiway is, which is nice. So we'll stop here at the hold short, get the mixture into full rich, check our controls, elevator up, elevator down, rudder left, rudder right, right aileron down, left aileron down. Beat on the brakes, we'll bring up the throttle to 1700 RPMs. We'll do our mag check next. Mag left, And we've got a good drop, back to both. Mag right. Good drop, back to both. Throttle back to 1,000. We'll head down here, we'll get on our landing light and our strobe lights as we're about to enter the runway for departure. Set our transponder to mode C. There we go, looks good. Penn Valley traffic, Skyhawk 41333, departing runway 35, straight out departure, climbing 3,500 Penn Valley. Alright, game on. And check out the traffic driving on the road here, straight ahead. It's really cool that you can see the headlights. Alright, we're going to continue following the taxi line here. We've got a displaced threshold. So you can see the green lights of the runway start, that's right at the end of the displaced threshold. And we can take off and taxi on the displaced threshold, you just can't land on it. Get ourselves all lined up. Full throttle. Airspeed's alive. .40. Coming up on rotate speed. And we're up. We're doing a straight out departure through the mountain pass ahead. And it's very important to rely on our instruments to help us because it's dark out, it's hard to see the terrain, so I'm going to really pay attention to my heading and hold runway heading. And as always, on takeoff, I'm going to pay attention to my airspeed, but I really want to hold that 70 knots to make sure that I get the climb rate that I want to stay on center between the mountains and clear the terrain. Looking good. Off to our right is the Susquehanna River here. So once we get up to pattern altitude and clear the mountains, we're going to hang a right towards the Susquehanna River, and then we're going to intercept our flight path, which is direct Whiskey Bravo Whiskey. So we can start our turn, keeping everything nice and calm and gentle here at night. Alright, we've got the Susquehanna River just ahead. We're about to cross that, and as we level out, I'm going to contact Harrisburg Approach and pick up flight following. So I've got the nearest page set up. I can see my distance to Selinsgrove, which is 6.6 miles, and it is roughly southwest of me, so I'll make my call. Harrisburg Approach, Skyhawk 41333 is a C172 slant Golf, 6 miles northeast, Selinsgrove, Sierra Echo Golf. At 3,500, we'd like flight following, destination Whiskey Bravo Whiskey at 3,500. We're just at the edge of Harrisburg Approach's coverage, so they'll have us for about 10 minutes before handing us off to Wilkes-Barre Approach.
Skyhawk 333, Squawk 2444 and ident.
244 and ident, Skyhawk 333. There's a current MSFS 2024 bug where it assigns you a random tail number each flight, regardless of what you type in. On the plus side, 333 is pretty easy to remember.
Skyhawk 333, radar contact over Sunbury Airport at 3500 feet, heading 072, Sunbury altimeter 30.23.
Position check, Skyhawk 333.
So 432 Delta Echo, cleared for the visual runway 9er report, 3 mile final.
Skyhawk 333, contact Wilkes-Barre Approach on 126.3.
Over to Wilkes-Barre Approach on 126.3, Skyhawk 333. Wilkes-Barre Approach, Skyhawk 41333, 3,500.
Skyhawk 41333, Wilkes-Barre departure. Good evening, Danville altimeter 30.23.
21647 with you, flight level 150, flight level 250.
JetBlue 1627, climb and maintain flight level 250. American 1221, Papa Golf, Wilkes-Barre approach. Contact New York Center on 128.575.
Skyhawk 41333, Wilkes-Barre departure. Contact Wilkes-Barre approach on 120.905.
Over to 120.905, Skyhawk 333. Wilkes-Barre approach, Skyhawk 41333, 3500.
Skyhawk 4133, 3 Wilkes-Barre departure. Good evening, Lehman altimeter 30.27. Skyhawk 41333, Wilkes-Barre departure, Wilkes-Barre, Wyoming Valley Airport at your 11 o'clock, 15 miles. Change to advisory frequency approved. Radar services terminated. Squawk VFR.
Frequency change approved, Squawk VFR. Thanks for the help, Skyhawk 333.
123.625, 02 Victor. Wilkes-Barre approach, United 1627 is going around for missed approach. Climb and maintain 3,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 22 vector, United 1627.
Alright, time to turn off the autopilot and hand flight in the remainder. We'll also get our landing and taxi lights back on and bring our mixture into full rich, and then power back for our descent. I didn't start my descent early enough and I have some altitude to burn, so we're going to burn that altitude by doing a 360 here over Wilkes-Barre. My goal is to descend to 2,000 and maintain 2,000 while over the city, and then as I pass the Cross Valley, which will be my next visual reporting point, start descending to pattern altitude of 1,500. Wyoming Valley traffic, Skyhawk 333 just over the Cross Valley at 1,500, inbound for left downwind, runway 25, full stop, Wyoming Valley. In daytime, everything's visual, and I normally don't use my heading indicator when flying the pattern. I just use my eyeballs, but at night, it's a little bit harder, and I will use the heading indicator to help me fly parallel to the runway and 90 degrees on base. Alright, we're turning final here just over the 8th Street Bridge. In real life, there are pappies both on runway 7 and 25, but I omitted them here from runway 25, so it's going to make it a little bit more challenging to maintain the glide slope at night, but we'll just have to manage it visually. There is an embankment here that I don't want to clip. Nighttime landings really mess with your perception of height because you just don't have visual references, so personally I find that I tend to flare low and risk a hard landing, although in this case it worked out pretty nicely. Just like takeoff, it's important to find the taxi line and stick to the taxi line. So up ahead, we're going to turn on the right once we spot it. There it is. And I'm carefully going to follow it. Whiskey Bravo Whiskey does not have blue taxiway lights, so if you veer off of the taxi line, you'll end up in the grass. All right, we can turn off our strobes for taxi, turn our transponder to standby, and lean the mixture. And we're going to taxi to the ramp. We'll park right in front of the open main hangar here so that they could tow us in after we shut down. Nighttime in Flight Sim 2024 looks even better than 2020 with brighter lights and reflections of city lights on the bottoms of clouds. Here's some photos of what real life night flying looks like. So these first two were taken over Binghamton, and you can see the reflections of the night lights on the underside of the wing. Roads definitely have this kind of milky appearance from being lit up, which looks awesome. And here's the inside of Whiskey Bravo Whiskey's hangar, lit up at night. And good old 471, which is the airplane that I love to fly. So I hope you enjoy realistic general aviation content like this. If you do, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.